When responsibility moves behind the eyes. Responsibility does not arrive with force, it arrives with relocation. When responsibility moves behind the eyes, the ego loses its operating system. Because the ego requires causation to remain in front of the eyes, it needs causes it can point to, argue with, correct, escape, or blame. As long as responsibility stays forward-facing, nothing can be healed. You cannot resolve a projection. You cannot negotiate with smoke. You cannot fix an image by rearranging the image. The ego calls this being realistic. But realism, as the ego defines it, is simply loyalty to appearances. Everything is out there. Everything is happening to me. Everything requires a response in form. This guarantees one thing: no solution will ever be found. Because the solution is never located where the ego insists the problem lives. Responsibility is not blame. Blame is still externalized causation wearing moral language. Blame says, something out there caused what I feel. Responsibility says, what I am experiencing arises from a choice in the mind. Blame keeps the search alive. Responsibility ends it. That is why the ego hates responsibility. Not because it is heavy, but because it is internal. Lesson 11 is the first quiet turn. My meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. This is the moment responsibility moves behind the eyes, not through accusation, not through guilt, but through causation. The course is not saying the world is wrong. It is saying the world is downstream. Thought precedes perception. Meaning precedes experience. Choice precedes reaction. When responsibility stays in front of the eyes, the mind remains innocent. And innocence, in the ego's hands, becomes victimhood. Mother did it. Father did it. The body did it. Trauma did it. Church did it. The past did it. Society did it. The world did it. And now the mind waits for apology, for justice, for healing, for conditions to improve. Waiting is the ego's favorite posture. Responsibility behind the eyes means something very specific. It does not mean self-blame. It does not mean fixing the personality. It does not mean correcting behavior. It means recognizing that interpretation has already occurred, before the feeling, before the story, before the reaction. Meaning was assigned first. Responsibility is simply noticing that assignment. Who is responsible is not the character. The character cannot choose. The body cannot choose. The past cannot choose. The decision-making mind chooses which voice it listens to. That choice precedes every experience. Responsibility is acknowledging that choice exists. Nothing more, nothing less. The ego protests immediately. This sounds like blaming myself. Only because the ego cannot imagine responsibility without punishment. But responsibility in the Course carries no penalty. It carries relief. Because if the cause is in the mind, the solution is there too. No negotiation with the world is required. No rearrangement of forms is necessary. No one needs to change for peace to be possible. When responsibility moves behind the eyes, effort collapses. Defensiveness softens. Arguments lose urgency. The past loses leverage. Identity loosens. Not because the world changed, but because the need for it to change dissolved. The world returns to its proper role, a reflection, not a judge. Lesson 11 is not small. It is the first time the Course says, quietly and unmistakably, stop arguing with the smoke. Look at the fire.